What's going on, everybody? It is your man, the Big Dog, and welcome to episode 92 of the Dog House, baby. We're 8 episodes away from episode 100, and I still have to figure out what I'm gonna do for episode 100.
Bruh.
Oh, man. Thank you all for joining me tonight. If you haven't already, give this Twitch channel a follow. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel, link in the chat. Also, join the Discord, friend me on Steam, and email me with questions, comments, and concerns. Oh, and follow me on Twitter. Granted, I don't use it as much, but it's there. Follow me if you please, if you so please. But anyway, again, thank you for joining me. If I sound a little nasally, I apologize. I was dealing with a bit of an illness for the last few days, and before you ask,
Nope.
it wasn't COVID. I tested myself all week, and I was COVID negative, so
Nope.
no COVID. Thank God. That's the last thing I want. I hated having COVID. Ugh. Yeesh. Anyway, let's get into tonight's topic, which is AMD, baby. So yesterday, if you haven't heard, AMD released a few of their... Well, they didn't release anything. They announced their new flagship cards, which I'm gonna... We're gonna watch a little bit of the press conference.
Faster and
Son of a bitch. That's not what I wanted. Come on. So yeah, they announced their new graphics cards, and boy, did they really just give Nvidia the finger. And they did the funniest shit. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to find, what do you call it? The actual thing, so we're going to watch it through the perspective of Bitwit Kyle.
companies that are serving the our goal to see
Alright, we're not going to watch the whole...
Talk it up. Shit. Fine. Let me know if you guys can hear it.
By the way, we're not going to watch the whole thing because that's going to be a waste. I'm going to be talking over this as much as I can so I don't get copyright struck.
Look at this. Here we go. Let's freaking go. A little loud.
Well, that's what OBS looks like. I haven't used that in a minute.
All right. How's that? Try that.
Welcome, and thank you all for joining us today.
Yay.
It's so exciting to be here back in Las Vegas in person. So thank you all for joining us, and
God, this sounds horrible.
and also welcome to all of you
This sounds so bad.
joining us online.
Yeah.
Alright, let me...
Today
Yeah! Woo! Woo!
we have
There we go,
some
much better.
amazing new products to show you. So let's go ahead and get started.
Crowd didn't seem very excited.
And
That's
you guys
just
all
a bunch
know
of
us well.
jaded
At
press.
AMD, we're all about high performance and adaptive computing. And we use technology to create solutions to the world's most important challenges. Now,
Way
whether
too
you're
low now?
talking about cloud services or 5G networks or AI
Yeah,
or
it's much better.
automotive
But no.
or PCs, AMD technology is truly everywhere, touching the lives of billions of people every single day. Now, we're in an incredibly busy time for AMD. It's an incredible period of innovation.
Good now.
We're in the midst of introducing actually 4 new architectures to the market across more than a dozen products.
Yeah.
So if you look at it, we started with the Ryzen 7000 launch in September, and many of you joined us there. Next week, we're gonna bring Zen 4
Now, I heard that the Ryzen 7000 launch was pretty bad.
Bombocat!
Please don't quote me on that.
to high-end server processors, and then soon after that to notebook PCs. And we also have our Zen 4C core optimized for cloud-native computing
Bergamo.
and our next-gen XDNA architecture that are going to launch in 2023. But of course, today it's all about gaming, and we're here to talk about our next-generation gaming architecture with RDNA 3.
Preach it, Lisa Sue.
So now just a minute about gaming, right? We all love gaming. Gaming is really in AMD's DNA. And when you
Agreed.
look
You know, apparently she has a doctorate.
through 2025, we're expecting
I did not know that.
3.5 billion gamers in the world. And our goal is really to push the limits of gaming innovation to really provide the best solutions across the board together with all of our gaming partners.
That's the other thing. You always got to mention
So
how
whether
many
you're
gamers
talking
are
about
there in the world.
developers creating new games and experiences, or you're talking about the companies that are serving the content, or you're playing your games on your devices, or you're a streamer that are really trying to stream those experiences to other gamers, our mission is to bring you the best experience possible for all of your gaming platforms.
Show
Now,
us the specs,
Ryzen
Lisa.
processors and Radeon graphics are really at the heart of all of the world's most popular gaming devices, including the top gaming PC OEMs, systems, cloud gaming services.
99% of the people
Sony
watching right now
PlayStation 5,
only care about
Xbox Series
one
X
of the
and
things on
S,
the stream,
Valve Steam Deck.
which is
We're also
a
bringing
desktop.
gaming to
And not the
automotive
Alienware
with the
one.
newest
Oh
generation
God,
of
why would they
Teslas.
feature that?
And of course, for all of the folks out there who are building your own PCs, we love the DIY market for all of the PCs that you build. Now, when you think about that, why is gaming so important to AMD? It's really all about pushing the envelope on innovation. Just over a month ago,
Really
we
all
launched
about
our next
making billions
generation
of
desktop
dollars.
PC processor, the Ryzen 7000 series, which was really the most advanced processors for gamers and creators. And the response has been really incredible. We have leadership performance per watt, we have phenomenal gaming and creative performance, and it's all enabled by our new Zen 4 core in 5
Leading
nanometers.
performance per watt. I mean,
Now, with
but,
Ryzen
the bar's
7000,
pretty
we
low
also
for that.
launched our next generation
not
AM5
surprised.
desktop platform, which has all of the latest I/O, and we're committing to delivering socket longevity on that through 2025.
All the
and
latest
beyond
I/O.
for lots of future upgrades.
Y'all know what that means?
And we also know that people love AM4, and AM4 is going to continue for a long, long time. And for there, Ryzen 7 5800 X3D is also a fantastic choice for
Please
gaming.
tell me the I/O on this graphics
Now,
card
today,
has
it's all
what I
about the
think it
next
has.
generation of Radeon graphics and how we
Please.
deliver the future of gaming with the world's most advanced graphics architecture,
I will say this card does look really, really good.
RDNA 3. So let me start and tell you a little bit about RDNA 3. We really set truly ambitious goals for RDNA 3. And as you know, at the forefront for what we're doing is it's all about power and energy efficiency. And we want to make sure that we continue to innovate around performance per watt leadership to enable all of the gamer upgrades to be done with fantastic performance, but at a reasonable power.
As long as the power connector
And
doesn't
we also
melt,
wanted to
I'm
significantly
good. We're
raise
good.
the bar in performance to support
right.
the next generation of 4K gaming and beyond.
bar is low,
and
Lisa.
really recognize that there are a lot of faster and higher resolution displays. And then finally, we also look at it as not just about the chip and not just about the card, but really what is the gaming experience we can bring. And that means new AMD software features,
I'll
that
try to
means
eat
platform
quieter.
technologies, and
For all you
really
misophones
end-to-end
out there.
solutions.
Bruh.
CPUs
You gotta eat quieter, Kyle. Come on.
and GPUs and software coming together. So there's a lot
And
of
he
innovation
failed.
in RDNA 3, and we'll tell you all about it today.
Tell me.
Now, there's a lot been said about our new chiplet design, so let me start with our chiplet design. This is the world's first chiplet gaming GPU. Now, why did we use chiplets? Chiplets really allow us to use a modular approach to optimize the performance and efficiency of the overall design.
Nice.
And so with our chiplets, like we've done on the CPU side, on the GPU side, we're mixing and matching the right technology for each function.
That's interesting.
Now, the graphics compute die is a high-performance 5 nanometer technology design, and it contains all of the high-performance compute in the GPU. That includes the shaders, the display engine, and a brand new media engine as well. And then the other die is a memory cache die, and it's built in 6 nanometer process technology and includes the memory subsystem that features the GDDR6 controllers, as well as up to 96 megabytes of infinity cache.
Hopefully that doesn't,
And as a
doesn't introduce
result,
too
we have
much
just
latency.
incredible capability
Because
with
the
more
chiplets
than
now need to talk to each
61
other. There's going to be a
teraflops
little bit of
compute.
latency because of that.
By the way, do you guys think you need 61 teraflops of compute?
Yep.
We need all the teraflops.
Yes. Yes, we,
We
do.
also have the world's
We're
fastest
gamers. We
chiplet
need all the
interconnect to
teraflops.
enable 5.3 terabytes per second of peak bandwidth.
All right, so they're matching
And
the
that allows
4090
us
on
to
DRAM.
unlock the full potential of 24 gigabytes of
24 gigs.
GDDR6. So altogether,
not-
when you
not
put that
G6X
together,
though.
we have 58 billion transistors
Oh,
in this
shit.
design,
I just noticed that. Yeah.
Interesting.
which gives us just an incredible amount of gaming performance. It sounds like there's a
There's a
few
sign in the
excited
back that
people
says
out there.
applause.
Okay.
My God, how small is that crowd, man?
Bruh.
Okay, so now let me show you for the very first time our newest chiplet gaming GPU.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Give me the die. That is just just
Cool.
to die for. Oh
Man, she is a boxy woman.
my goodness. That thing's huge. That looks bigger than the
This
81
may be my
2.
favorite part of my job, I think.
What, holding dies?
All right, so
Holding
look,
a
as I
dying
said
friend.
earlier,
Oops.
we set very ambitious
There we
goals
go.
for RDNA 3, especially around energy efficiency. And I'm pleased to say that we actually exceeded our goals. So our engineers did a fantastic job, and we made great improvements between RDNA 1 and RDNA 2. And with RDNA 3, we actually achieved a 54% gen over gen improvement in
Damn.
performance per watt. And when you put all of that together into what really matters, we're about building the best products for you.
What about gaming?
So today, I'm
performance?
incredibly proud that we're going to announce our first 2 RDNA 3 graphics cards. The Radeon
Oh.
RX.
Ooh.
Oh, those look sick.
The
Those look
Radeon
pretty
RX
good.
7900 XTX with 24 gigabytes of GDDR6 and the 7900 XT with
Not
20
GDDR6X.
gigabytes.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
you can imagine these are just incredible gaming cards. So now I'm going to turn it over to Sam, Scott, and Frank that are going to take you through all of the exciting product details. Sam?
All right, you know what? I'm gonna skip this because this is the boring stuff. We're gonna get to what you guys really want to see. You want to see the price.
Second bit rate. As you can see behind me, the quality of the stream and the text
Blah
of
blah
the
blah
image
blah
is
blah
visibly
blah blah
pixelated,
blah blah.
and more. But Advantage goes even further than that by ensuring.
Right?
There we go.
And we were all there. I was supposed to
Thank
be
you,
here, but
Frank.
I was
There we
hungover
Okay,
and I
are
missed
you
it.
ready?
There we
And
go.
AMD was really mad at
Alright,
me.
what an incredible day of announcements that will transform
Rightfully
the future
so.
of graphics and games.
So now I'm
AMD
literally
Radeon
watching this for the
7900
first
series.
time with all of you.
Built
I
for
don't
extreme
know what's
performance to drive 4K and
what's about
8K
to
high
happen.
refresh rate gaming monitors, powered by the world's most advanced gaming graphics architecture, RDNA 3. Here we go. Starting December 13th,
Let's go.
2022, you'll be able to purchase the 7900 XTX
What?
for
Oh,
$999.
What?
Looks like AMD wins.
What?
Well, for now. they win.
No way!
That's
The world's fastest gaming card under $1,000.
$1,000.
Also on December 13th,
It's only
2022, you'll be able to purchase the 7900 XT
What?
for $899.
Dude, okay, can we get that
$999
meme of
and
the dudes with
world's
the
most
casket
advanced
with
gaming
Jensen in it?
GPUs powering your gaming rig
Hey yo,
for
hey
years
yo,
to
hey
come.
yo.
That's the end of our show. Thank you for joining us today, and we can't
Bro.
wait to get these gaming cards in your hands in December.
Hang on.
Have a great rest of your
Hang
day.
on. Hang on. I gotta find. There we go.
What's up, guys?
JC
JC Sens here in Las Vegas. You are either watching right now or have just finished watching or are about to watch the AMD keynote about RDNA 3 graphics. So we
We already did.
got a lot of anticipation here, a lot of stuff to kind of talk about and digest. Man, where to begin? I'm not even entirely too sure yet. But first, let's get paid, and then we'll talk about it.
We interrupt this video to bring you a special message from iFixit. No, we interrupt this interruption with this new Moray.
And the new minnow.
Take them with you anywhere. So get iFixit for your loved one, or just get them for yourself.
So this is probably one of the most anticipated launches of the year, quite honestly. And it's not because of the fact that of how good it's expected to be. It's just because of how bad things have kind of been going for the other brand. Of course, we're talking about NVIDIA there. The RDNA 3 technology, or the third generation RDNA graphics, so we had 5700 XT, and then we had the 6900, and then 6950 XT, and then now we have a 7900 XTX, and a 7900 XT. I love how the naming convention, by the way, is really starting to go back towards the roots of Radeon, the RX 7900 XTX. The two SKUs that we're going to talk about based on RDNA 3 technology. Let's just talk about first the base level specs, because I know the average consumer just kind of wants base level specs. But we'll talk about some of the stuff that makes this launch so much more unique than it just being a new graphics card that's either a smaller process and a bigger die and more horsepower. So the 7900 XTX has 24 gigabytes of GDDR6, which is kind of like the standard now, right? I mean, NVIDIA's 4090 and 3090 both had 24 gigabytes of GDDR6. But the 7900 XT has 20 gigabytes of GDDR6. So already right off the bat, both of those cards are going to be fantastic for high-resolution gaming, 4K gaming. There's a lot of discussion of 8K. That's not necessarily because they are saying 8K gaming is being adopted. It's just that's the next 4K in the sense of how hard is it to run? Because 4K is really becoming easy to run these days for the graphics cards, especially when you have FSR 2.0 and then you have DLSS 3. And by the way, FSR 3.0 coming out in the first half.
Oh man, these cards, I gotta say, these AMD cards look really good. But for me, for a guy like me, there is a caveat, and I'm gonna explain that at the end of
2023,
this
so
video.
that's exciting. We'll talk about the uplift there in a second. So it's a 5 nanometer compute die. So the compute die, or the actual GPU portion of it, is a fully fleshed out 5 nanometer process. However, the memcache dies, or this is what's based on the chiplet design now, is a 6 nanometer, again, fully matured 6 nanometer cache die. That gives you 61 teraflops of compute. 61 teraflops. Now, a lot of the ways that they're accomplishing this is because of the, 58 billion transistors in their 300 millimeter squared GCD, but because of the fact that they have 6 nanometer MCDs and 6 of them creating an infinity cache that is much faster than going out to the graphics, the VRAM. Now they've reached a point where by taking what they've learned with developing the Ryzen CPU and having an infinity cache there, the more compute that can take place natively on the die is always going to be faster than going anywhere else through the substrate or the architecture. So by now having up to 96 megabytes available of cache to the GCD means a very fast communication there.
Yeah, I just noticed he's sitting in front of a men's room.
Without having to go out to the GDDR6. Everyone knows the smaller process is a more efficient process.
Yep.
So one of the big focuses here regarding RDNA 3 is power efficiency. 54% performance per watt improvement over RDNA 2, which was already extremely efficient. So the 7900 XTX has a 355 watt TDP utilizing 2 8-pin PCI Express power connectors, standard power connectors. In terms of the size as well, it's fairly standard. It's a 2.5 slot card, and it is a little bit taller than average. But the bottom line is it will fit in just about any chassis, even small form factor. So it's already looking like a benefit for many people to be able to not have to use any sort of a power adapter or not have to buy another plug or a new power supply to try and work around the power adapter. You don't have to basically jackhammer out your case to be able to fit the graphics card in there. It's kind of insane what they were able to accomplish there. Now, ray tracing, it's interesting because of the fact that this is their 2nd gen RT core, and if you're into ray tracing, it's going to be a hard sell to convince, I think, people to go with AMD over NVIDIA, because NVIDIA is on their 3rd gen RT core. But now when it comes to performance too, the 7900 XT is just a little bit kind of shaved down version of the 7900 XTX. I think it's weird that they chose XT versus XTX rather than saying 7900 at 7950. Makes me wonder, is there a 7950 coming out later? I just think the XTX and the XT is a really kind of an homage to the original Radeon days when it was like ATI. Both cards feature DisplayPort 2.1. That's big because DisplayPort 1.4 has been the standard for a long time, but 2.1 gives you a massive forward-facing future-proofing when it comes to new panels coming out in the future here, which will allow for 165 hertz 8K or 480 hertz 4K. Now, it's very difficult to find a game these days that is actually going to run that kind of FPS at that sort of resolution. However, this is how you end up achieving those frame rates in the future, is because you have the standard and the spec that gets adopted, and as over the next few generations of graphics cards, seeing 480 FPS and AAA titles in 4K will be very realistic. We all said the same thing about 1080 when 1080 was new. We said that about 1440 when it was new. It's like, those resolutions will never hit high FPS. Well, that's completely, and I'm sorry about the noise, guys. It's, we're in a hotel lobby here. There's so much going on. But that's all achievable because of the 54 gigabit transfer rate of the cable, or the spec of this 2.1 DisplayPort. But it also natively supports 12-bit color. Where I was looking at this going is the fact that this would make an amazing 8K HTPC theater if you were having 8K projector. 8K projectors in home theaters and stuff exist, and you're not going to be able to get that sort of Blu-ray performance because Blu-ray's not there yet, so you'd have to use like an HTPC. 8K 165, that's really just a spec flex. I take that back actually. They did show some 8K titles that were achieving 130, 140 FPS.
Ooh.
With the 7900 XTX using
NW2.
FSR 3.0. We didn't get a whole deep dive on how FSR 3.0 works. That's coming later in 2023. But that's one of the things that...
Sorry, hang on. Yeah.
You want money for lunch?
No, that's fine.
You sure?
Yeah, that's fine.
makes some
Sorry
of this
about that.
really high FPS, 8K, 165
Sorry.
hertz stuff even possible. So now in frequencies, it's interesting because they have different frequencies for different tasks and different operations, which is part of the efficiency design. Rather than just going, okay, everything goes to this clock speed under this workload and everything's kind of going balls to the wall, but the load is low and that's not very power efficient. So they have a 2.3 gigahertz shader clock speed, which is 25% more efficient than RDNA2. Well, at 2.3 gigahertz, it's 25% more efficient than it was at RDNA2 at the same frequency. They have a 2.5 gigahertz front-end clock speed, which is 15% higher than RDNA2. Now these numbers are always weird because of the fact that you know that the clocks do auto and dynamically boost based on workload and temperatures and overhead and power limit and all that sort of stuff. So more than likely, you'll see these clocks be higher than that no matter what. But what I find kind of interesting is the fact that the clock speed bump is fairly modest versus if we kind of compare, like, again, I don't want to compare AMD and NVIDIA on the clock speed level. I say this all the time, that clock speeds are not directly comparable between NVIDIA's architecture and especially this chiplet architecture. But there was a significant clock speed bump on 40 series for NVIDIA versus 30 series. I mean, 2.8 gigahertz auto boosting out of the box. On pretty much just about, well, 2.7 to 2.8 out of every card. We saw those types of frequencies, 2.6 to 2.7, easily happening on AMD's RDNA2, but again, that was because of the dynamic clock speeds happening here. But I think because we have 58 billion transistors in this 300 millimeter squared die, this GCD, I think there had to be a little bit of a trade-off where there was a massive transistor boost count increase with a modest clock speed increase, and that's again because efficiency was very important this time around. I mean, 355 watts sure as heck looks a lot better than 450 plus watts of melting connectors. Let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Damn, that shot at NVIDIA.
And you guys
haven't
have
used
probably
that
already
one in a
noticed there was absolutely zero comparison in any sort of game, not just versus NVIDIA. There was a couple of mentions of like performance uplift versus RDNA2 in terms of like, you know, up to 1.7 times faster or 2 times. So basically, it's a 2 times instructions per clock increase. And that's specifically attributed to the 6 nanometer MCD or memory core or memory cache die design, chiplet design versus the GCD, the 300 millimeter squared GCD design. So the chiplet design is what they're attributing that 2x performance uplift in terms of IPC. Now they did compare it to the 6000 series in a couple of slides here in terms of both efficiency and then just overall performance uplift. But there was zero comparison whatsoever in relative performance to anything from the competition. And I kind of expected there to be because of the fact that the 4090 has been out for a month now. If you're AMD, you know you're going to immediately start testing your product against it. So this non-mentioning of the performance versus NVIDIA, that's where things are really looking. I know it sounds like a fart. I swear it's not. It's tape over there. I'm not farting, guys. I swear. Really looking. This non-mentioning of the performance versus NVIDIA, that's where things are really looking. I know it sounds like a fart. I swear it's not. It's tape over there. I'm not farting, guys.
My man, you can edit that out.
Anyway.
Granted, I barely edit shit out.
But it
There we go.
definitely leaves, I think, a lot of questions for gamers. Okay, the price. 7900 XTX available December 13th for $999. And then 7900 XT, 20 gigabyte, also December 13th for $899. The 7900 XTX is a minimum $600 cheaper than a 4090. Remember, the cheapest 4090 is the Founders Edition, and everything's up from there. So if we extrapolate any sort of performance figures from the price, which I don't think, that would mean that it's 60% of the performance of an RTX 4090, so they're just going to price it 60% less expensive. I don't think that's true. I think there's a drill that's going on. I think there's a market share move here to let's maybe cut into our profit a little bit to bring the price down to make it more incentivizing. Because the missing information here is if it's as good as they're saying, and it's priced where it is, wouldn't you want to say, oh, and by the way, it's just as fast as the other guy at this price? So I don't know. I have to assume that this is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of a 4090. Maybe they're waiting to compare to a 4080.
Them sounds.
I don't know. So does them not showing any sort of performance metric versus NVIDIA a move of uncertainty? Is it them maybe taking the high road? Because one of the things AMD's always done in the past, especially with old marketing when like Roy Taylor was around and stuff, was the problem of like our marketing is about putting down the other guy, not about standing on our own legs and our own products. AMD's model has changed from that a long time ago. And I feel like it's literally just, here's our product, we're putting it out there. And maybe comparing it to the other guy looks like you don't want the other guy to be the benchmark you're against, because that sort of beefs up the other guy. So I don't know, I'm really confused by the fact that there's no performance metrics against anything through NVIDIA, which means you're just gonna have to watch our reviews when we start reviewing the products. So I'm cautiously optimistic about this, but I'm gonna tell you right now, as I have already stated, a 7950X CPU will be my next CPU for the next rig I build that's gonna replace my 10th gen at home. The 12th gen rig never made it home because I still have nothing but weird issues with 12th gen at my studio, and I just can't bring that home. I'm just not, I'm not happy with it. The CPU, that's settled. The GPU, I need to see how this performs. If it's anywhere in the ballpark of a 4090, but it doesn't require the stupid cable adapters and it's not this gigantic thing, which obviously it's not based on the reference design, it is very likely that I will, for the first time in the last 10 plus years, have a full all AMD rig. And I'm looking forward to that. Just not happy that we didn't see any sort of performance comparison, even relative performance, don't have to put FPS numbers on it, against the competition. So I guess about a month and a half is what we have to wait to find out, because if they're available December 13th, you know the embargo would be somewhere right around that time. All right, guys, thanks for watching. It sounds like I'm just ripping nasty ones right here in this. What do you guys think? Sound off down below. I'm really interested to see if this keynote was enough to incentivize you or entice you to go Team Red, or if it's...
All right, so let me give you my quick opinion on this whole thing. I agree. These cards are very tempting and very enticing. These are very, very good looking cards. Here is the problem for me. And I know you guys don't want to hear this, but I have to tell you, because I need to be honest with you. Here's the problem for me. I do not need the be-all, end-all card. Like, for me to buy this card would be overkill. I have a 1070 Ti in my rig right now, paired with a 12th gen i7. So the most I would probably need is like maybe a 3080, something equivalent to a 3080. So on the one hand, yeah, these cards look really good. On the other hand, I don't know. I'm still not seeing...
Why?
That's the sad thing. I don't see a real good reason to why I should upgrade. But what do I know, right? Anyway, that is going to be it for this episode of The Doghouse. If you're on Twitch, please stay tuned. I am going to be doing some Modern Warfare 2 gameplay. If you're on YouTube, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Peace out.